Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting into comics, at the end of this video, you will have more tips and tricks on how to find comic books that can get you some cash. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Paper Chase channel. Top 5 tips and tricks on how to find comic books that are worth money, that are valuable, that you're not gonna ever read. Quick rant before we get into this. Ready for the quick rant? I hear you, readers. I'm a reader too. That's why I got into collecting comics. It's why most people get into comic books. Not many people actually go into comics because they want to make a fortune or retire off of it. It's been known to fail in the past. We've had 2 comic crashes now. So my reader preachers, my buy what you love, my why aren't you reading these, don't slab it, read it, all of you guys. We all love the stories, we all love the characters. It's why we're in this bit. You can be a collector of multiple facets. Quit downplaying and preaching the people that love to collect and preserve. Rant over how to find comic books that are worth money. This video is not for just comic collectors, though even if you are a collector by the end, I promise you, you'll probably hear something maybe that you've never done or heard of before. I also want somebody who's just getting into the hobby to be able to watch this video and not feel like everything should be common sense. So these tips will get more advanced as we go. So here we go. Tip number 1, the most simple, easiest tip. We all literally have a supercomputer in the palm of our hands. Use your phone when you want to hunt comics if you don't have a lot of experience. Here's something that your phone does that you might not have known can help you find valuable comics. Typically, most people, when they find a comic book, they're going to go to eBay sold to figure out a rough estimate of what the value of the comic book is. So if you're looking for comics, if you're at a garage sale, a convention, whatever, if you have your phone out, if you go to eBay, go to the search bar, there's a tiny camera there. You can literally take a picture of the photo of the cover and it's going to look up all of the listings. Now from there you can go to the recently solds and try to figure out what a gauge is, but if you see a bunch of listings for $100, $200, you know you got something on your hands that's worth money. You don't have to type a darn thing in. It's the quickest way to see if you got something that's worth something. If you're somebody who's new to the hobby, a key comic book is any comic that has a significance of value to either the story, the character, or the artist behind it. A ton of ways that you can have a key comic. You can have artist keys and writer keys and first artwork, and you can also have scarce and rare printings. Spectrum of key comics is vast. I suggest if you really want to maximize your knowledge when you're searching is Key Collector app. And not only that, it's fascinating. Read it when you're on the toilet, when you're on a long plane ride. You can just absorb tons of information and actually learn a lot about comic book history from Key Collector comics. The more that you search, the more that you hunt, you're just increasing your chances of you stumbling upon something that is worth money. So places that sell comic books, your local comic shop, garage sales, estate sales, storage units, and of course there's online. Facebook Marketplace, even Goodwill online, and there's also a lot of random auction houses and estate sale auctions online if you just search for them. Some of these places can be underlooked. Of course, eBay. I'm not even going to give you my method for finding great deals on eBay because I'm just going to make it harder for myself. All right, I'll say it very quick. You might have to rewind this, but... And that's how I found some great deals on eBay. Okay, that was all the easy stuff. That was all of the stuff that a lot of us probably already know. But what separates the men from the boys? People that are making the most out of any box of back issues that comes into their path. When you can freely, without the training wheels of a cell phone, search through back issues and know what is valuable, that is when you can search with ease, and that is when it is the funnest. Because you just kind of develop this Rolodex in your mind. Don't memorize issue numbers, memorize covers. Covers will stick in your mind way easier than specific issue numbers. At the very least, if you're in a bind and let's say all the books are very cheap, you say, I know this is something, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's $1, I'm gonna grab it. Using Key Collector while you're hunting versus knowing a bunch of key comics that you've studied on Key Collector. They're 2 different ways of finding valuable comics, and I promise you the latter will get you way more valuable comics. The next way to find valuable comics is know the recipe for valuable comics in the comic market. you're winging it. You're winging it through the back issues, wondering if what you've got is valuable. Well, the value in the comic market is the value just like anything else in life. It's supply and demand. So for instance, here's a list of things that I have in the back of my head that I'm looking for when I'm at any place searching at a random box of comics. We all know number one issues, right? Give or take the decade that you're looking at, a number one issue might be worth more than the cover price of the comic, maybe $5 to $10 if you're looking in the Copper Age. But another thing that I'm actually looking for is high issue numbers. It's pretty standard that in comics, as comic series progress, the print run gets lower and lower because most people don't finish the story, most people don't finish the series. It's just how things go. So issue number 150 is going to be way lower printed than issue number 1. And I think the final issue scarcity really does well in the copper to the early modern age. So we're talking about, in the late 80s, like the G.I. Joe era, G.I. Joe, 155, 154, I know the cover, all the way to the early 2000s to really even still today. Last issues are typically way lower printed. Another thing that might let you know that you have a valuable comic on your hands is look at the cover, look at the text. Is there word bubbles on the cover? Does it say introducing this character? A lot of times in the earlier days, they will plaster that key appearance or that first appearance on the cover, and they'll tell you that with word bubbles. Another hint at valuable comics is if you see the word, especially in the modern era of comics, if you see the word variant edition on comic books. If you see a variant, it is definitely worth looking that up because that could be a low print run variant. It could be a variant by a certain artist. It could be a ratio variant, 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100. What I mean by that for the non-comic people is for every 25 books that were ordered by the comic shop, they would give you this one special variant. And the next thing, which is something that I do a lot, is try to use your sixth sense. I'm sure a lot of us have looked through books and a book stops you in your tracks, whether it be the cover or whatever. Something stops you in your tracks and you're like, this book just feels like it's something. Listen to that little voice in your head, because a lot of times that little voice might be there for a reason. Or maybe it's just a gut instinct because you know your comics. And the final and most advanced way to find valuable comics is know a comic book's potential. To do this, you need to know multiple things. One, you need to know key comic books. You need to know the comic market currently for that comic book. You need to know how to grade comic books. And you also need to know, to a certain extent, how to clean and press comic books. If you find a key comic book, for instance, from your LCS, and they have it priced way lower because of certain defects and things like that, if you know those things can be fixed or pressed or cleaned out, you capitalize on the situation, you get that comic for a great deal, you put in the work to either do it yourself. It's a fascinating skill, and I recommend it to anybody if you're in the comic game. If you have the time and patience, learn how to clean and press your comic books. It's extremely satisfying and gives you more of a relationship with the book. That's a separate video. But anyway, put in the work or pay somebody else to clean and press the comic. Actually, a perfect example for this. Actually, there's 3 of these books. And I'll show you right now 3 instances of this that have... Just look. This is House of Secrets issue number 100, a gorgeous, gorgeous Bernie Wrightson cover. This book was bought on eBay for $60. It was listed as a 7.5, and in the book's description, the seller had said, darn near flawless other than a stain on the back cover. And I knew I could get that stain out. So I bought the book. I put in the work. I removed the stain, and the book came back a 9.6. And I think the last 9.6 sale is right around $900. Almost $1,000 for this book. Next 2 I'll show you at the same time. You've probably seen these on before if you've seen the channel. But love me the high grade horror. This is Tomb of Dracula number 5 and number 18, both in 9.8s. There are only 3 9.8s in the world of this, and there are very few of this. This is a bit of a key issue. This is the first meeting between Dracula and Werewolf by Night. So these 2 books on here, also found on eBay. I could tell from the pictures that this person kept their comics in a very, very good climate-controlled area. though they were way harshly grading the comics because the comics weren't pressed. I saw that the comics had pressable defects. I paid a good bit. I think I paid maybe $200 for both of these books, but they had their comics listed as fine plus. This is kind of the importance of grading companies in the grading game. When you see the variations in the people's grading, when people that sell their comics, how they grade their comics, there is such a broad spectrum in what people consider a fine, fine plus, near mint. You need to have a collective census to group everything together so there's not so much variance. I knew that the guy was way undergrading the books. I bought them for, like I said, a couple $100, and both of these pressed out to be, well, as you can see, 9.8s. This book right here, the last sale was $1,600. This book right here, the last sale was, I think, $2,000. All because I knew the book's potential. It is one of my favorite ways to have the hobby fund itself, and it's a lot of fun. Well, that's it. That was my video for secrets to the comic book hunt, how to find valuable comics. Put something into the chat below that maybe wasn't mentioned in this video of how you find valuable comic books or make this hobby fund itself. Thank you guys again so much for watching the video. Hit like on the way out, subscribe if you like stuff like this, and we'll see you on the next page.